Everybody, this is Chris Baker, your host of the podcast Tell Me Your Story. You're watching or you're listening. Today's story is about Bert Griggs. Is that how you say it?
Yep, that's
Bert
it.
Griggs. And we're going to just do like how we always do. We're going to jump right into this and talk about, just how it all started for you. Where did it start off? Childhood. Where'd you
Well,
grow up at?
I grew up in Akron, Ohio. Um, Born and raised in Akron, Ohio. I was a pretty quiet kid in elementary school, and I would say probably about sixth grade, I met a kid who was taking judo. His name was Raymond Johnson. So Raymond, he was taking judo, and I was quiet. And during that time, people your age won't know, but Kung Fu was on TV. That was the show, Kung Fu.
I
You
don't
come
know, man.
home,
I would have to say I'm pretty hip to it because, well, actually, I grew up with like Bruce Lee, watching his movies
right?
and then watching, all Van Damme and growing up with them guys. And well, I can kind of speak on. We had then my group kind of had like Power Rangers and stuff like that, but
Right, Power Rangers. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah,
Ninja
and
Turtles.
Ninja Turtles, and I always find a way to get martial arts in there somewhere. But so I decided I wanted to go take Taekwondo, and I go to Parks Judo and Karate here in Copley, Ohio. My mom takes me out there. She saw that I was a pretty quiet kid, and she felt that I needed to get out the house because I stayed in the house a lot. So anyway, I go there. He tells me I can't take Taekwondo. He said I have to take judo. Right. So he makes me take judo. And I'm like gonna do what this guy says. It's Kilsoon Park is his name. And he was on the Korean team, and he was just very strict man. I mean, super strict. So I just did what he said. So I took, at 12 years old, I started taking judo. And then through his tutelage and everything, and my parents allowing me and their sacrifice, because I didn't know, it was $30 a month back in 1971. That's a lot of money. That's like $90 a month.
Yeah.
My parents were paying for me to take this. And so I took it for a year, and I got pretty good at it. Wasn't great, but I lost my first tournament, but I lost my first match and cried. Then the second match, my dad had told me, he said, just go out there and do the best you can. And I did, and I felt better. I still lost, but I felt better. And what happened was I ended up getting from judo my self-esteem. That's what it was. If I train hard, I can win. So I started training harder. And then my parents couldn't afford it no more after the first year. So we went to Mr. Park and told him I was going to quit. And 1973, he tells me, don't worry about it. You just come to practice. Don't miss a practice.
Wow.
And so I never paid, since 1973, never paid to do judo. He let me come there and taught me judo. I met a guy, John Saylor, who was a young guy at that time, who later became national champion and the Olympic coach at the Olympic Training Center. He became that. And John's from Ohio. He took me under his arms and like my big brother. And between that, I started winning tournaments. And at 13, I started competing against men. And then from there, I just loved doing it. It was my whole self-esteem. And the thing about judo, it teaches you not to get in fights and how to de-escalate situations. And I didn't even know judo worked or not, because I never got in a fight, because I always if something happened, I try to be calm and de-escalate it and calm it down. And I played football and all that stuff. I went to Akron U, and I went to Bookto, played football, Akron Bookto, and then I went to Akron U and played football. But I injured my neck, so I couldn't play football no more. So I went back to doing judo. And that's how I got it. I took third in the collegiates, and that's how I got out to the Olympic Training Center.
Huh.
And they thought, I had potential, so that's where I ended up staying. But what I took was community services technology, so I became a counselor. That's what my degree was in. So I started counseling out there.
Hold on, wait 1 second. What helped you decide on you wanted to be a counselor? How'd you get into that?
Well, at that time I needed a job, and I've always been good at listening to people and giving halfway decent advice. And what I discovered, one of the instructors out there told me I had a natural ability to do that. So I just became a counselor, and I enjoy doing it and helping people and figuring out stuff. It's like a puzzle. When somebody comes to you with something they're having a problem with, and it varies what problems that they have. But if you can be impartial and not judge them, I just, I don't judge people. I listen to what's going on and try and make the best decision to help you make the best decision. So I'm making a decision I think will work for you, and you can take the next step. And I think I'm very good at not judging, like you should be a certain way because I'm a certain way. So I've always been like that. And
No, I was agreeing with you. I was thinking
because
you can't judge somebody for what the mistakes are, and because nobody's perfect.
Right, and that's the best part about doing judo. I learned is like no matter if I look at somebody and think I can throw them or whatever, then I always discover I couldn't. Sometimes I might outweigh them by 50 or even 100 pounds, and I can't get to them. So you learn those kind of humility, and you learn that. And that's one reason why I was able to become a counselor, I believe. And I was a good counselor. And so I rode that career, and then after training for the 1988 and 1992 Olympic teams, I decided to move up to Denver. So I moved up to Denver, and I at that time I had got married too, and I had a daughter, and I had to get a job for sure to help that situation out, and married and then got divorced. So I moved up to Denver, got a job working with adolescents first for a hospital, and that was a great job, working with young people, helping them navigate different situations and things like that. And then I ended up getting a job with the city and county of Denver at a detox. And it's like the world's largest detox or something like that. And I was very blessed for that, to get that. And I still was doing judo, still had a lot of judo in me, as competitive wise. So I would still compete and everything. And I did not know that I would be at that job for 25 years, and didn't know I would stay in Colorado for 30 something years, 30 plus years. I think almost 40 years I was out there.
Kind of give us a taste of what it would be, what it was like going from Ohio to Denver. And I heard from a couple of friends that have been out that way that the air is a little different, and you got to adjust to it.
Yeah, when you first get to Denver, no matter how much you train here at sea level, you're going to breathe hard. You're going to walk up some steps. That's one reason why they put the Olympic Training Center there, is because you could go out there and train. And you train like for a couple months or whatever, and you can change the oxygen level in your blood. And then when you go compete at a lower, like sea level, you have a little edge on your competition.
Wow.
Especially internationally, you would
That's like
and
very smart.
hmm?
I said that's actually really smart, man. I
Oh
was thinking
yeah,
about it just
I
not.
mean every little edge you could get being an Olympian or trying to be an Olympian, that's what you want, and that's why they had it there. Because I met Michael Jordan. I met just before they were famous. Patrick Ewing, they came out there for camps. Uh, Riddick Bowe, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Oscar De La Hoya, um, Rebecca Twigg, she was a cyclist, Greg Louganis. People would come out there. FloJo, back in those days. That's how my best friend met his wife, Benita Fitzgerald. She was only the second woman to ever win the hurdles in the Olympics, and he met her through me, my partner in the Gentle Way Institute, that our de-escalation program. He met her through me. He owes me a lot.
Yeah, I would say.
Being her, because she's a great lady and she's an Olympian, and never think about it, like 1936 was when we won the hurdles, and did not win it until 1984, and that was her in the 100-meter hurdles. So he's a lucky man. So that's one thing with that, helping him out with that, and he was very fortunate. And being in Colorado was in Denver. Denver is like a really nice place to be. The weather's nice. You have a lot of sunny days, 300 sunny days. You're gonna have sun 300 times a year. It may be cold, but the sun will be out. Now that always makes it feel a little bit better, a little brighter. But being in Ohio's, it's the heart of America.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that. That's the nickname of it too, the heart of America, Ohio. And it was very interesting, being able to travel in different countries and meet different people. And the funny part about it is, all the years I was out there, if you asked me where I was from, I said, I'm from Akron, Ohio. And one of my friends, he goes, man, you ain't from Akron. You ain't been there in 40 years. I said, yeah, but it's home. It's always home.
It's always
and that, that's one of the best parts about moving back here and starting up a business in de-escalation and everything with the Gentle Way Institute, and getting that going. And that's like a dream for me, is being able to help people help themselves, and learning how to calm down. And the things I learned basically from being a judo player and and that's a trivia questionnaire. You play judo, just in case you do not. It's not like you fight. You got a fight or something coming up, or you spar. You play judo. That's the thing about judo. And so learning that, and the counseling skills I developed over the years to help de-escalate situations. And that's when working in the detox, like there in Denver, you can drink all you want, but as soon as you walk outside the door, outside your house or outside the bar, if the police stop you, they will bring you to detox. If they have to stop you, so they bring you to detox, and that's for your own protection though too, because you're out there, you might wander in the street, you're intoxicated, you might get in a fight, you might get robbed, all that kind of stuff, or you may just be homeless and it's like 30 degrees outside, and so you don't freeze to death and things like that. So they would bring you into our facility, whether you're on alcohol or drugs or anything like that. And as people who drink and stuff, they sometimes get violent. And we would have a situation that would occur, and we would, they would call me a lot. And they saw that I had the skills to de-escalate people. And then I started teaching de-escalation classes there at Detox to help other employees learn how to talk to people and show respect and not pick on anybody or just, and how to, somebody says something bad to you, how to take that and move on with it. And that, that was the other thing. And that's the uniqueness part about Denver. Denver's like, man, so many people there, and such a, it's a big city, but it's like a small city, and it's a melting pot of a city too. Because I remember because it's a tourist place, so you get like a lot of tourism there. So you get a lot of people. I remember I got a guy he was on a holiday, and he was from Australia and everything. He's on a holiday, learning stuff like that. Because when they take holiday, it's like a month. They take a month off from work. And he got picked up and everything, and just help him navigate the situation. A lot of people don't know, if you get intoxicated on an airplane, the airplane will land wherever closest that they can to get you off the plane. And we dealt with a lot of people like that. And it would be people who were like sometimes violent and stuff, but because of training and everything, dealt with things a little bit better. But as far as like Denver, how is Colorado? It's just gorgeous. Every day is a postcard, but you just don't have the water that you have here. You gotta go way up in the mountains and get, find a big lake like you do here in Ohio. All the lakes and rivers and everything.
I love Lake Erie.
Yeah. But I tell you like this, being away from it, like I was, you kind of like go by it and go like, wow, it's so beautiful. And just some of the small lakes around here and stuff, you just go by. And that's one of the biggest part of my story is that I truly like being in Ohio, and I like helping people all over judo's like a big world thing, and people don't, it's the second most practiced sport in the world, judo is. And that's why even though I gotta tell you, even Vladimir Putin, he was president of judo, honorary president of judo. Vladimir was, and he's a big fan of judo. But he ain't representing it too good right now, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah, because we're about peace. It's a peaceful thing. Judo's called a gentle way, and that's why we came up with Gentle Way Institute. Judo actually means gentle way, and so that's why we came up with the Gentle Way Institute. Because what we want to do is help people navigate bad situations. Because when you're driving down the street or somebody cuts you off, and you want to flip them the bird or something, you don't want to do that. We want to get you in a mindset that you won't be doing that. And then, where you work at, if you're in a work situation and you're being confronted, how to deal with those particular situations. Because now, no matter where you work at, if you're working at Walmart, you got customers that go on and get in your face. You got people who work the parks, the metro parks and everything. And they tell people you can't feed the ducks, and people get violent about that because they want to feed the ducks. And so we're working with them right now and teaching their naturalists how to approach people and how to deal with when people get upset with them. Because it's hard nowadays when people get upset with you and yell at you, to keep a calm mind. And so in our program, what we try to do is develop your confidence. And, the more confidence you have, just like Chris, doing what you're doing right now takes a lot of confidence. And you're don't know you that well. What I can tell is you're very smooth at it and you have confidence. Well, that's what everybody needs to have, period. And we all don't have it. We have situations that we're not confident in. And definitely with, somebody yelling and all that kind of stuff and approaching you in a violent way. But because of what I see from you, the confidence that you've developed from doing these podcasts, that carries over into when you're walking down the street.
Oh yeah.
You know, yeah, yeah, it carries over. You know how to go. Somebody, you know, if they came up to you and were upset, you go like, "Well, why are you upset with me?" Or you know, you say, "How can I help you?" or something like that, as opposed to you getting upset and getting into altercation with them. So, you know, that's just an observation that I just noticed in
I
talking
would
to
say
you.
it's really
Huh?
more so having that connection to God and just knowing where I'm at and how just
Yeah.
everything works around me.
And that's the other part. That's the other part there. Having the connection you have, and it helps. It's the help. And that's the other thing that, like, one thing I've been doing is I've been telling my story at the church I go to the young people there and trying to help them navigate this situation. Because when I was young, if you were getting bullied, the bullying ended at 3:15. I just go home. You know, I got bullied when I was a kid. Matter of fact, my best friend, Ron Mosley, the guy that we talked to, I was so afraid of him when I said, I'm gonna be friends with him because I was afraid. But the funny part about that is, it's like, you know, at 3:15, bullies was gone. But now, because of these things, your bully, he's with you all the time, 24/7. He can, like, what they call it, tweet or Instagram you or do something.
Pretty much
He's there
anything.
all the time. And that's hard. That's hard on people. Yeah, that is hard on people. And that's hard on young people. And when you have a bully that's doing that, things like that, you got to deal with things in a different way. And that's one thing. When I talked to some young people Sunday before last, and I was telling them it's different for me because I was able to not be bullied after 3:15. You know, all through school, yeah. Then on the weekend, I didn't see the guy. He didn't live in my neighborhood or girl, because I got bullied by girls too when I was young. I ran home. I didn't run home. I walked real fast and took a different path than everybody else did sometimes. So, you know, I had those life story experiences and stuff. And for me, judo developed my confidence and allowed me to be able to talk to people instead of staying up in my room playing with my toy soldiers and stuff like that. It allowed me to, I knew if I trained and worked hard at something, I could achieve it,
Would you
which was like, you know, win a tournament or something.
now I kind of want
Or
to tap in just real quick. Would you
go
say
ahead.
it was more like a mindset thing? You felt like you had more like a purpose, so it built up that confidence and made you kind of just more motivated towards everything else? Or how would you go about it with it?
I would say that it built up my confidence. And when something came in front of me, like whatever task it was, I could handle that situation better. And I never thought I couldn't do it. So I would always try, even if I failed, I get back up and keep trying. Like if I got a bad grade on a test, well, I knew the next time I'm gonna get a better grade. You know, because my football coach, when I went to Bookto in high school, they were Coach Mike Buckner. They were in Kilsoon Park. I went from tough to tougher. You know, it didn't matter. These guys, man, I sit back and go like, man, nowadays they couldn't do the stuff that they do now. But it developed confidence in me. It made, like, if I could deal with that, and I learned to keep my word about things. And my mom with her religious background, you know, church, always number one. And I myself, before every match, I have a Bible that my mom gave me when I was like 15, and that Bible has been all over the world, and it's raggedy, but I all the scriptures she gave me, I make sure that I read them. I would read them before every fight. It was three of them, and I read and to this day, when I get up in the morning and start my day, I read them.
Which one?
And
what scriptures do you like? What your go-to?
They were all Palms, the 23rd and the 37th and 91st. Them are the ones I read every day.
Do you know them by heart?
No, I don't know by heart. I make sure, I think I can do them sometimes by heart, but once I start reading them, I just read them. And I guess the reason why I never memorized them that well, because I always wanted to open up the Bible and read it. Because, it was something my mom gave me. And, she passed away in 2013. But I guess I just, I probably could read some of them and do a pretty good job of it. But it's something about opening it up and looking at it and reading it.
It's power.
Just means a little bit more to me.
Power to it too.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. It just add a little bit more power to it, because I listen to it and I just like, and I catch myself that I memorized it, but then I go like, oh man, I missed a word or I missed something. I go back and read it again. And like I said, before every fight, I would read the 23rd Psalm, and it would just, get me out there, and I get out there and I do my thing. And that's before every match, And so at least if I had a good day, I would read it about 6 or 7 times. That means I defeated 7 people, and I would do that. And that was a good day. Bad day, I only read it once. so I lost it, everything. That was my bad day. I'd already lost, but it was one thing about it. I know that it just means a lot to do that. And I remember when I went to the collegiate championships, my instructor, Mr. Parks, all the way up, we ended up listening to Korean church music all the way up there. And I don't speak Korean, but I knew some of it. And he listened to that all the way from here. It was in Lansing, Michigan. It was at Michigan State. So that's how long I was listening to
it. How was that?
It was different. It was different. I was like, I was 20 years old. I was 20 years old. And he told me, turn the radio station on what I wanted to listen to. And I turned it on some music. Then he said, no. He turned it on and turned on Korean church music. That's what he told me to listen to. So I've been blessed with having people in my life that are go-getters and people who want the best for me. Between besides my parents and my the 2 coaches I had, and John Saylor, them guys were just always, there for me. And the friends I have, I got, Rampy, Ron Mosen, I call him Rampy, and then Roger Miller. He's a guy here in Akron who really helps me out as far as like keeping me up on judo and everything like that. And just, I think you got to surround yourself with positive people. And I've been blessed with that. That's one big part of my story, being around positive people. It's just amazing. And it's just a course that, life you go through. And I've been like really, really blessed with that, just to have people in my life that, trying to help me out. Like Teresa Laguerre from the Urban League. Introducing me to people to help me do things, and the people at church, Pastor Jackson, and they, Cascade Ministry is where I go, and First Baptist. Those just positive stuff. I just think that's the other part about developing your confidence, is surrounding yourself with positive people. People are trying to help you. And the other part is letting people help you.
Hold on,
A lot of
say
times.
that one more time. That way that
Oh,
whoever's listening right now, watching, they can take that, write that down.
what part?
Surround yourself with
Letting people
positive
help you.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. Surround yourself with positive people, and that's what positive brings positive to you. But then again, you also have to allow those positive people to help you. And there's no shame in like letting people help you. And that's part of the whole Gentle Way Institute, is we want to help people pretty much help themselves, and allow us to help you deal with situations that, sometimes you need that help. You need to be able to deal with a situation where that's overwhelming, but you're still going to keep struggling through it. Let somebody help you. I didn't know anything about this podcast, and I've seen stuff, and I, seen them and everything. But I reached out to friends of mine, people who care about me, and I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. I'm definitely, I'm so happy that you wanted to talk to me and stuff. And people telling me I do have a story to tell. Raised up in Akron, grew up on the west side of Akron. It was not the most best place to be, but it wasn't a bad place. It wasn't where I could say that it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Didn't grow up very affluent or anything like that. One of the reasons why I like judo, at $30 a month, I didn't have that many clothes to wear to school. I had, got clothes from, hand-me-down clothes from other people and things like that, but I didn't think nothing of it. I thought everybody lived that way.
Hey,
That's how.
no, me and you, we're in the same boat there, man. I used
Right,
to get my hand-me-downs from my best friend. He'd get
right.
new clothes, and then I would get his old clothes.
Rampy had a jacket that, even though he was smaller than me, it was kind of big for him. So I would wear his jacket because his dad had gave him a jacket. So I was wearing that, and just wearing, just stuff like that to, stuff wasn't given to me in a way that it was just, here you go, it's brand new or anything like that. Used to dealing with stuff that, but I can't say, I grew up poor, because I had friends and stuff. I had people, so I don't know, I understand not having stuff. I do understand that, because I didn't have stuff, but I didn't know I didn't have stuff because I thought everybody else didn't have stuff.
Yeah.
And the things I dealt with, part of my father, he drank all the time, and I thought everybody's dad drank all the time, So, but my mom held everything together, and my dad was not terrible, but he wasn't as good as he could be.
Yeah.
We had times where we couldn't pay the mortgage and all that kind of stuff, and looking at getting out, but we still owned a house. And he got things done, but he wasn't around that much, and that was the best. That wasn't the best part, but that was the part that was best for me, because that introduced me to Mr. Parks, John Saylor, and Coach Buckner. They filled that gap between me learning about things in life. And they, definitely religious guys, definitely showed me, an honorable way to do things and show me what loyalty is. And so I was in being respectful, because if you said "huh" to Mr. Parks,
Oh
you was gonna
no.
get hit. You was gonna get hit. He had a bamboo stick, wham, he hit you with that. What do you say? You know, he
Oh,
goes like, "What did you say?" I said, "No, sir." And he told me, 11 years, 12 years old, I always say, "Yes, sir, no, sir, no, ma'am, yes, ma'am." And that helped me out through life. And Coach Buckner, same thing. You give somebody your word, you follow through with it. And just the whole thing about that. And with my mom, she used to sing in the choir at church that she went to back when I was a kid and everything. And so she knew stuff. And that's what I got to learn a lot from her. And just trying to, right now and stuff, my story is I'm just trying to do the right thing for people that need help. And see it out there in organizations, and everybody need to learn how to calm down, because it's just and how to de-escalate a situation. And it's not because of so much what you see on YouTube or anything like that. It's just we all see it when we're out there. We're talking to people get upset, people get excited. And a lot of times, especially now, because we've been locked up for like the last 2 years.
oh yeah.
And it's such a gorgeous day today. I see people got their music playing, people cutting in front of people driving, driving their car that they couldn't drive before and going places. So it's kind of like a whole different thing right now. And I think we all have to, be prepared. We need to, what you're doing is great. Getting people to tell their story, because people can find some of their life in everybody else's story. And that's going to help, believe it or not, that's going to help de-escalate people when they can say like, "Oh, I wasn't the only one. I'm not the only one that did this. Oh, that person, oh, they went to the same stuff I went to." And then, especially like, somebody older, they tell you, like me, they tell you, well, what they did and how they handled the situation. And, well, maybe I'll try that, after listening to their story that you're, allowing them to tell.
And that's what it's all about. It's just encourage people, inspire, uplift them, and let them understand that, like I said many times before, they're not alone. Somebody has dealt with that same
And,
issue.
and that is the biggest thing, that one thing that when we talked to you earlier, is that's one of the big things for people to realize you're not alone. And I think because this is, I think it's so wonderful, is the fact that people have been locked down, and that's such a feeling of being alone, and to have a medium like this where people can see that they're not alone, because everybody got stuff. And like you said earlier, ain't nobody perfect.
Nope.
And the fact that we can all learn from each other, and you guys, let that learning happen, and let people help you, because everybody like trying to be like Mr. T. I won the championship alone. I'm gonna train alone. I will work with no, you need help. You need help. Even Rocky got Apollo Creed to help him back in the day. So he could train and beat Clubber Lang. Those kind of things. You don't train alone. You're not victor by yourself. You're not going to be champion without help. And that's one thing. And I mean, I'm not talking about just champion of like a sport or whatever. Champion of life.
Amen.
You can't do it by yourself. And in the race that we're in, you want to stay out there in front. You got to have friends to help you, and people. Not you don't even have to know them, but listen to their stories like what you're doing. I just think is fantastic because when you watch, it's basically like when you watch a TV program, they're telling a story, and if you can relate to that story, you go like, yeah, that's how I am, or I want to emulate that story. Or like for me, it was always westerns growing up, cowboy westerns. I always wanted to be like that. But in life and stuff, in real life, this is so much outstanding thing to be able to tell a story and for people to listen to. Because I grew up in Akron. It was in a time where Akron was a happening place back in the 60s and 70s. But I still grew up in a rougher kind of neighborhood, but it wasn't, me and Rampy, we even got shot at Dairy Queen once. We didn't get shot at, the people were shooting at each other at Dairy Queen.
Wow.
And Rampy, Ron, he saved my life by pushing me down to the floor of the car. And the people were shooting in front of the car. And he kept me down and stuff. Because I wanted to get out and run. He told me, he said, stay down. So he probably saved my life that day.
How were you feeling at that moment?
Oh, I was scared. I was like, I'm thinking like they're gonna shoot the car and the car gonna blow up,
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to get out the car. Because they were in the back, they were in the front of my car and the back of my car shooting at each other. And the lady that was shooting, she probably was like in her 60s.
So what?
She pulled out her gun first. And then this other guy pulled out his gun and put his foot on my car shooting at her.
What?
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's amazing and stuff.
That just sounds wild, man. An older
Yeah,
lady.
we was at Dairy Queen.
Yeah, and it all happened at Dairy Queen. Like what?
At Dairy Queen. On the corner of Frederick and Copley Road.
Oh.
Right there. Just happening, we teenagers. We was in the 11th grade, 11th grade. And we're just getting ready to get our free I was gonna get a shake or something like that. And Rampy was gonna get a foot long. It was free. So we gonna get that. Next thing I know, people were shooting at us.
You're just trying to get some ice cream, trying to get a shake, man.
Right. Yep, getting shot at and everything. But that's what I'm saying. That's why, being blessed and everything is important. And that's why we were able to get out of that particular situation. And, it was a blessing. And, learn from it, because, we went to, going to Bookto at that time. And, you never think that, I was going to end up in Colorado. And he ended up going to Brown University. And he moved to California. And for whatever reason, we're always close to each other. Since 1972. So that's like 50 years hanging out with him.
How awesome.
So that's a blessing in itself. 50-year friendship and stuff, hanging out when we walked it. And that's what I'm saying, like stories like that about, something that's more positive than like, we grew up where it was, you got in fights, things like that, but I avoided fights. He fought all the time. I didn't. That's why he became my friend. He could fight all the time. I didn't fight at all. And it wasn't because people knew I knew judo. I didn't tell anybody I did judo until I think my sophomore year in high school. And I didn't tell them the football. I had to go to a tournament and I had to tell the coach, and the coach told people I did judo. Well, most people didn't know I did judo most of my life in Akron until they saw me in a magazine, and they saw me on like television or something like that. That's when they found out I did judo, because I never told people.
You kept it real quiet.
Yeah, yeah, because you tell people that they want to challenge you, or
Oh yeah.
my mom told me not to tell nobody, so I never told anybody. And most of the time I didn't tell people. I'm still in that habit. It's hard to talk about it, but I'm still in that habit of not, right off the bat saying like, yeah, I did judo. Or, I was say I was an elite athlete and I trained at the Olympic Training Center. I heard, I probably can count the times I've mentioned it, probably like 5 or 6 times, and this is one of them telling you about it. Because one thing about judo is about humility and being humble. We just don't. Nobody hardly talks about it. It's a humble kind of thing to do. We just love doing it. It's a fun. I love doing it. It's fun. And if I was, and it takes a lot out of you over the years and stuff. But that's part of my story too. At this age, I got arthritis and hurt a little bit here and there, but I'm still, still good. I'm still, I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was. you know.
Did
But
have you taught your kids?
huh?
Have you taught your kids at all? Have you signed them up or taught them any of this stuff?
They well, my daughter, no, she didn't go that route. Uh, I've been asked to teach at the church, and I'm thinking about doing it. Start teaching. A couple of the young men at the church, they would like to learn judo and everything. So I'm thinking about it. Because you gotta get mats to learn judo. You got to get mats and everything. It's a little bit, because you got to throw people down on the ground and things like that. So I'm thinking about it, see what the church comes up with. But I figure my calling right now is to teach the de-escalation and teach that to. I want to teach it to everybody who want to interested in learning de-escalation skill, both physical and verbal. And verbal gets you out of that physical, so that's why you want to focus on the verbal part. But when you can't do it, the physical part is real simple. I keep it real simple and real direct and everything. So I think that's my calling. I think that what I was at this stage in my life, I have the skills and have the knowledge, and I just want figuring out how to share it with everybody. And that's what I like to be able to do. And I really appreciate you having me on here so I could tell a little bit of my story, because I got all kinds of I got a lot of stories that that I was blessed to have a lot of stories. Traveling, a lot of fun stuff. Just being able to meet a lot of different people. If I had known that getting autographs could make me money like it do nowadays, I mean, think about it. Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson. I had all the heavyweights, Riddick Bowe, all of them and everything. Meeting all those guys right there. Just never thought about,
All right, since you brought it back up, and there's probably somebody watching right now listening. What was it like being around those guys? You said it was before they were famous, but
it was before they were famous. And the person I talked to most of the time and hung out with was Evander Holyfield. And we just having fun. Bunch of young guys, had the same goal. We wanted to make the Olympic team, and we just having fun. It was like, as they became more famous, you rooted for them. You became a not so much a fan, it's because you knew them. So, you rooted for them. You wanted them to do well.
yeah.
And I think that's the difference. I wasn't a fan per se. I just wanted you to do well because I know you. And, I think me and Evander went out to eat one time at this banquet or something. And he still owed me $5. I should call him up and tell him to pay me interest on it. But because it was this place we didn't want to eat at the cafeteria all the time, and he wanted to go to this place called Fur's Cafeteria, and he borrowed $5 from me because it's like $5 to eat all you can eat. It was that kind of place. And
Wish
I
it was still
mean,
like that nowadays.
no, it's 1983 or 84. No, it was like, no, you wish it was like that. And it was good food too. And those kind of things, meeting those people, it was just a blessing. I think the biggest blessing though is for me to introduce Ron to his wife. And I always say that's what God put me down for, to get you married, because they've been married since 1995.
How did that actually come about? How'd you introduce them?
Well, she happened to be in town for athletic rep meeting. Her and my other good, like my big brother Leo White, who made two Olympic teams. So they were there for athletic meeting. He just happened to be in town because his business had that territory. He was a salesman, so he happened to be in town. So anyway, I picked them up. I'm the guy that lives there, so I'm picking everybody up, and we're going out on the town. Everybody, we're going out, and all night long we went to like 2 different clubs. All night long, Ron and Benita they never talked. They hardly ever said a word. We laugh and joke and stuff, but that was about it. Well, we decided to get breakfast, and I brought up the fact about my friend's daytimer, because I stole his daytimer and he started panicking. Because that was a big thing, them daytimers, and he started panicking. And I was, joking about it. And then Benita asked him what kind of daytimer did he have. And he said Franklin daytimer. After that, me and Leo was left out the conversation. They just kept talking. They talked all the way back to the hotel.
Wow.
And at the hotel, he was getting ready to walk off. He said bye to her and all that kind of stuff. And I said, Ron, give me one of your business cards. And I said, Benita, give me one of yours. And then I switched them. I said, the way y'all was talking, y'all need to talk some more.
Yeah.
And that was that. And Leo was very much involved in that. And we just, next thing you know, we kept telling her what a wonderful lady she was. And next thing you know, I say about 6 months later, he proposed to her.
Wow.
Yeah, because their first date, I set their first date up in Denver because she was still coming out there. He was coming out. And I set their first date up. And I picked this place that was Castle Marne. It was like a bed and breakfast, but it was like a castle. And he had his room and she had her room. And that's where they stayed and dated from there. And then after that, they were on their own. She would fly out, he was flying out. And you got to remember, you had to pay for phone calls back then. It wasn't no free long distance.
Nope, no cell phones were existed there.
Right. Yeah, because he had $500 phone bills talking to her. And I guess he might as well marry. That was cheaper, huh? Add on the bill. And so, yep, they ended up getting married 1996. They got married, and they've been married since then.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah. And think about it though. They dated. He lived in California, right? She lived in Atlanta.
Wow. So
that's why they came
to
Colorado. And that's how they dated. They came to Colorado. They came because her job was bringing her out, and his job was bringing him there. So how blessed could you get?
Yeah, I'm just thinking right now, like, look at God, man. Look at God in this, showing off.
Yeah. God was a big part in it, that's for sure. Because that's all that was. And just like, God dealing, put me in the place that I was, leaving Akron, going to Colorado, uh, just having a very good life. God's always been giving me everything I need, not everything I wanted now, which is different.
Doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it don't work like that. It don't work like that.
No.
But he sure gave me everything I needed, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And and move, I always knew I would move back to Akron, Ohio. And I've been very blessed here. Like I said, meeting people, meeting people that, I have another friend, two friends here that I grew up with. Michael Murphy, he's a Pastor Michael Murphy, and Mark Jackson. And I've known them since I was 6 years old. I know them since I was 6. And just got through talking to Pastor Murphy. I call him Murph. I just got through talking to him like the other day. And, I see these people and I talk to them and everything. And, just, like I said, being blessed is a big part of it, especially meeting the CEO of the Urban League, been very helpful and everything. Teresa, she's outstanding person, and motivating people, and that's the other, motivating people, and like I said, just learning to let people help you and everything. And my coaches, Coach Buckner, Coach Saylor, John Saylor, and Mr. Parks, just meeting those kind of people, it's just unbelievable. And meeting you, that's a blessing. I mean, to be able to even talk about this stuff. Because see, I'm the only surviving family member. Everybody in my family has passed away, except for me and my daughter, my immediate family. And I have a niece, but that's it. My dad died in 98, 97. My dad died in 97. My sister died in 98. My mom died in 2013. So I'm like the last of the bunch here, me and my daughter.
Clan.
Yep, last of it. And, just, my niece, last of that. And like I said, just being blessed with being able to come back to Ohio and stuff. And, like I said, I've been always blessed with meeting people that have always helped me out. Guy named Rick Oliva. And, my brother, Leo White. I got a whole bunch of people, man. I got a group, Leo White, 2-time Olympian, actually 3-time Olympian. He couldn't go in 1980 because he was in the military. But, guys like that, just real helpful. And I talk to Leo every day, and he lives in Atlanta. And he's like, like my big brother. He's my big brother. Definitely that. And just been blessed, man. It's like I sit back and think about all the blessings I have just from the people I meet that help guide me in a better spot, and move me in the right directions, even though I don't want to go to those directions sometimes. Because a lot of times, you just don't want to go. They tell you, people are telling you the correct thing to do sometimes, helping you out, and you just don't want to go there. But, God has his way of pushing you that way.
And it's really where you're at too, is like, that's kind of where I'm at too. Just to have that grateful spirit, man. Just being thankful for everything that is there, that's present, waking up every day. And I'm just, when you grow more into that, it just, everything makes more sense. Everything is the picture's clear. If that makes sense to, whoever's watching,
Yeah, it
listening.
does. It does. Like I said, when I look back, I used to take it for granted, right?
Yeah,
I figure everybody had friends that they've had for 30, 50 years, and you have friends that are, always loyal and all that kind of stuff. But when I look back at, when I start thinking about it, you know, like, the people, I shouldn't even call them friends, they're, brothers and sisters of mine,
sisters.
and
Yeah,
that have always been able to be there for me. Because, like they say, you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. And I've been blessed with having people in my life that are really, really amazing people who always want to, do stuff and help me out. They 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 tell me when I'm wrong.
yeah.
Yeah,
You definitely need those people, man, more than
hey,
ever.
when I should zig, they tell me when I should zig instead of zag. So a lot of times I know I should have zigged when I zagged instead. And sometimes I need to zag instead of zig. And it's one of those things that I just been blessed with that. And that's why, like, the things I've been through, you know, like I've had a bunch of surgeries on my knees and all the athletic stuff, and went through all that kind of stuff, injuries and things like that. But when I look at it, it's all still been a blessing,
Yeah,
and I believe I'm in the right place I need to be in, and that's where, like, me and Ron Rampy, we started thinking about that Gentle Way Institute. I said, I got these skills, and I need to, like, share it with people. And I remember my coach Buckner one day, just years ago, he told me I was a good man. I need to share it with people. You don't think none of it, at the time, and then all of a sudden it started ringing in there, just like you sharing this with people. You seem to be a good man, Chris, and you got to really keep this stuff going, man. Seriously, because I believe that people need to hear other people's stories more than anything else during this time that we're going through.
amen.
Because people are frightened and people are scared, and the best thing you can do is listen to somebody else's story
And let people
and
know that
and
everything
do
is
it.
okay. It's all right.
Yeah, that you ain't by yourself.
Yeah,
Because I tell you like this, I've been by myself, even though I wasn't by myself. And that's the thing I had to learn, that I'm not by myself. Because, like Leo would tell me stuff, like he called me yesterday, we were talking, and he's telling me stuff, and I'm going like, man, uh, I feel the same way, and it helps when you can talk to people and say like, oh man, I feel the same way about that. But also it helps when you can talk to somebody and they feel a different way, have a different opinion. Then you go like, I never looked at it that way.
how
You
often
know,
I hear that when I talk to people, man.
You go like,
I didn't see it that way, but now he's put it that way. Like, yeah,
right. When you put it that way, it's kind of like go with a tomato and tomato. You look at it and go like, well, you say tomato, I'm saying tomato, but I never really looked at tomato that way. And believe it or not, when this is something I learned, like ketchup, it can be spelled with a K or spelled with a C.
you
you
know.
know, I'm like, what's the difference? What does it mean? And things like that is, funny things like that. You find out there's a little difference. Then that's where we all find out, like, a lot of us are the same. We're not as different as people as you think we are. You
No,
know,
I would say the more I learn, just life in general, is we're all in the same boat. Everybody is going after the same thing. Everybody just wants to be happy. Everybody just
right?
wants to have that successful life, that life to remember.
And the thing is, being happy is something that I think people don't understand what happiness is, because everybody's, happy ain't having a whole lot of stuff sometimes.
Yeah, everybody has a different opinion on that too. That's
Right, right, right. Happy, it's not your happiness and my happiness. Because as a counselor dealing with clients and stuff, I would, it was hard to understand, like, why are you happy like that? Then you discover, like, well, you are happy because you're living the life that you believe that you want to lead once you get sober, right? Once you get sober, because you don't have nothing controlling you like that. And if something that's controlling you, it's hard to be happy when something's controlling you. And then when you come out of that, you can be a little bit happier because you're not controlled by it. You can be a little bit more successful and it doesn't mean that you're become a billionaire or anything like that. It just mean that you enjoying life a little bit better. And that's the thing that people got to realize, these things like this, learning about other people, what they've gone through and stuff, can help you become a happier person and learn how to adjust things. Like, you figure out, like, well, somebody tells you a story how they handle doing their taxes differently, and you find out, like, oh, well, maybe I can do it that way. Then all of a sudden you discover, I didn't know you could write that off. You know,
yeah.
all of a sudden you saved a bunch of money. Then you can go like to Cedar Point, because the money you save, and do something you wanted to do, or just experience something different. And life is about having experiences and having fun, because you got one way it's going to end. You already know how it's going to end.
Yeah.
But end it your way though. Have some fun. Have a fun ending. Have a happy ending. And I just think that we all tend to not do that sometimes because of outside stressors. We have a lot of different stressors come in different ways.
So many distractions in this world.
Yeah. And that's where, letting somebody else help you would be such a nice thing. If you can let other people help you, and then you turn around and pay it forward and help other people. Yep. And if you help, if everybody helping each other, then that creates a great circle, a great circle of confidence, and a great circle of loving friendships. And that's where I want to be at. I want to be where somebody helping me, I want to help them and help other people, and just keep moving forward with it.
And I know exactly what you're saying too, because I love doing that. I love helping people, planting that seed
Oh
in
yeah.
somebody and sharing it with them, and then seeing that seed blossom from them and go to others, and it keeps growing and growing. Like,
It's rewarding, and like one thing I do is part of my story is, like, if I go to a restaurant, not even a restaurant, if I go to like McDonald's or someplace, or I'm at a grocery store, and the person that's helping me, I can tell they're going out of their way or something like that, I tip them. I tip them. And at my age, if they tell me, you're doing really good, sir. How you doing, sir? Or something like that. I go like, I tip them and tell them, sir goes a long way. Young person saying that to me, it goes a long way. I just say, thank you so much. I make sure you get it.
How's their reaction to that when you do that?
Well, I tell you, sometimes they go like, oh wow, most is, oh wow, thank you.
Wow, really? Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what because I was at Aldi's, and the lady I had my bag open, and she was going through, and she was being nice and putting the stuff in my bag, so I didn't have to take the cart and walk over. And I said, So I think I got like $10 extra. And I said, here you go. Thanks for helping me. And she said, wow. And you could tell she needed that money at that time. The way she said thank you, and like, wow. She needed like, $10 and everything. It ain't like I'm rich or nothing either. It's just that for whatever reason, I just gave her that because she was just being nice.
No, it's what a lot of people don't understand. What rich is really about. Once you know your blessings, then you're really rich. That's the truth
Yep,
in life. Once you see the blessings in your life, then you're rich. That's the true rich.
that's the true rich. Yeah, so that's pretty much like my story. Is just I want to help people, and I think I've been doing it all my life. That's part of my story there.
As we begin to wrap this thing up, people will probably, well, I would say like what I heard from your story, man, is like if your parents never got you into jutsu, how do you say it? Jitsu. I
Huh?
can't say it correct.
Oh
That
yeah,
means
judo.
judo. My bad. I said it all wrong. But I was just thinking like, wow, if he never got into that, where do you think your life would be right now?
Well, I don't, I can't even go there because I just think I can't imagine, especially as young as I was when I started. I think I probably, I think I wouldn't have played football because I didn't have the confidence. I wouldn't have played because I wasn't a good athlete or nothing,
Like
you
how
know.
much that decision itself made such an impact on your entire life.
Well, because it gave me confidence and I got my
Yeah.
self-esteem from
Yeah, and I'm just
it.
thinking,
So
imagine just that one decision, man. That one decision
one decision.
would change everything.
Honestly, I definitely wouldn't be sitting here. I probably would have, I don't think I would achieve, I don't think I would be happy. I think I would achieve some things, but I don't think I would have been happy. I think I would have been always wondering if I had done something, because I wasn't athletic, became a good athlete uh, because of confidence. It had nothing to do with me being physically great or something. It's because I was led in the right direction.
You had the right mindset.
Uh, yeah, it was a blessing. I may have, I mean, I may have spent time trying to be, like I said, I was a real quiet kind of guy. So I just been quiet and just been, successful in something else, but I don't think I would have been happy successful. I've been like just like a drone kind of thing, just, par for the course. I don't think I would be happy. Uh, I think now I'm able to, because of it, that decision, I'm able to, I've led the best life I could, and I'm leading the best life now. I'm looking forward to it.
Amen.
Leading the best, and that's through, prayer and through God, just being able to lead the best life now. Because you figure God wants the best for you anyway,
Amen. So
right?
people need to
So I figured that's why I ended up doing judo. And that's why that's why I'm able to do the Gentle Way Institute, because God wants me to do something, a little bit more spectacular.
oh yeah. Now you get to share it. Now you get to use
Yeah,
that gift that you
right.
learned and teach it to others.
Yeah, all the 40 years of doing, is it 40 years? I'm 62. So I started when I was 12. So it's 50, what, 50 years of doing it.
Wait,
Yeah,
whoa,
50 years.
whoa, you're 62?
Yeah, I'm 62.
Dude, I would have never even guessed that.
Oh,
I was thinking he was in your 40s at that.
oh no, I'm 62. 62. Started judo when I was 12. So that's, yeah, so 12, so yeah, yeah. 19, yeah. Because it was a summer of 71. You know, fall, yeah, summers, yeah. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. God put me, you know, changing my course, you know, move me in that direction to make sure I can help do something. And that's what I feel I'm doing. And like I said, that's why, you know, meeting you and stuff, that's all a part of it. The
All part
course
of
he
the
put me
journey, man.
down.
All part of the journey.
No, part of the journey.
All right, one
Yeah,
last
part of the love.
question before we wrap things
Okay.
up. Out of all the places you have traveled, where would you say was your favorite? And do you have any stories to share about your travels?
The all the places I traveled would be honestly, it would be Hawaii. Even though it's part of the United States, it would be Hawaii. It's just gorgeous every day. It was so gorgeous that it was boring, you know, because every day was gorgeous. When it rains, the sun is shining, right? And it's still raining, but the sun is shining. They call it liquid sunshine. So I would say if I could stay anywhere, that would be the place I would stay. If I, you know, I could stay in Hawaii. I could live there. That's for sure.
Paradise.
Because yeah, because Japan and Korea, great places, but you know, they were just they were busy cities.
Yeah.
You know, they were just busy. You're in the main cities and stuff. Seoul, like, you know, and yeah, it would be there. It would be there because I want that. I like that warm weather, and I like the friendliness of it. I could live there. I could, you know, I could go there. But the second best place is Ohio.
There you go.
Second best, I swear. Second place, best place for me is Ohio. The friendliest people, uh, pretty square up kind of folks. Um, Ohio. You know, even when we have bad stuff happen, it's still a great place. Ohio is great.
Home,
Uh,
man. It's home.
yeah, but you know, I spent I spent my adult years away from here and everything. But even when I came back, it just felt natural.
You're like, feels good to be back.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I spent my think about it. I spent 23 years old. I left. Came back when I was 55. So all my fun, partying, adult years were here. But you know, and Hawaii, I'll tell you a story. So in Hawaii, one of my teammates, you know, we're there, we got a tournament and everything. So he locks himself out of his room, comes in my room, and just, you know, we athletes now. And I think I'm like, you know, I don't know, 14 floors up. No, it was probably only eight floors up. Well, he gets on my balcony and starts jumping from balcony to balcony
What?
to get to his room. That, yeah, he did that. That was, and that's the thing about, you know, when you read about somebody that's like does something that didn't make sense. That was one of the things that didn't make sense.
Just yeah, like this is one of those stories that you're like, did that actually happen? Was that real?
Yeah, yeah, because I opened my door. I opened my door. He said, "Man, I locked myself out." I'm like, "Well, we can just go, go down and get the key." And next thing I know, he's out my balcony, and he just starts jumping to the next balcony. Yeah, you had to jump. That's what you had to do. It wasn't it wasn't a far jump, but it was still a jump.
I'm just thinking like what it looked like if you were on the ground just seeing somebody from the 13th floor
Hmm.
jumping from
Yeah, well,
balcony to balcony.
it was only 8 floors. It was 8 floors.
Okay, but
Because it's
still,
one it's one of them stories that amongst our team, it was 1986. We still talk about it. We still talk about it. I won't even say his name, but he jumped from my room because I was sitting up there. I'm like, and we were sitting up there, and I could not believe it, because I was, I said, "What are you doing?" You know, and he jumping. I just got quiet, you know, but I want, but that's what it was back in them days. That we did so many different things, and it was a different athletic group of folks, because living at the training center and um, just doing stuff was interesting in itself. And he was one of them guys that did that. That's like, you find athletes do some, not just athletes, just people. You do stuff and you go like, why would they do that? And you read about it, and he was one of them guys that, you sat there, could not believe that he was jumping from room to room. So that's probably, it was a frightening story. That's probably one of them. And I didn't have too much, like even like training wise, I didn't do too much. We got shot at Dairy Queen. That was about it for that. That was a life changer there. And then after that, it was, coming back from Hawaii one time. It was a different trip, but coming back from Hawaii, uh, our plane conked out right on the runway. As we landed, it shut down.
Wow.
That's like, that's a long flight, and then the plane don't move. Yeah. So I've been really blessed.
Yeah, for you to like for that to happen, and you just as you guys landed, it happened. It's like, dude.
Right. Just as we landed,
Yeah.
the plane shut down. The plane went dark.
Like,
it was daylight, but the plane went dark. All the power went out. And you sit up there thinking like, man, and it was just one of those things. You just sitting there going, "Oh my God," and that's just being prayed up right there.
yeah.
That's for sure.
Definitely had somebody watching over you there, man. Had a karma landing for sure.
Definitely. So you got any other questions?
I think that's it. I think we covered
That's it.
everything. Yeah.
He said that was going to be. Well, I really appreciate it. And contact me anytime. Stay in contact with me. I think you're a great guy.
Thanks, man.
And yeah, because maybe we get Benita on here.
Definitely.
She's gold medalist and stuff. Maybe we get her on. And Rampy had a story too, because ain't too many people. He was a athlete and a scholar. Went to. It's hard to do both. He went to Ivy League school. So, that was his blessing and stuff, that's for sure. Ivy League, went to Ivy League school. So, and we played in an inner city school. And our Coach Buckner, he got like a big article in the paper because he was able to send most of all his players went to college.
Wow.
Or had an opportunity to go to college.
Not many people can say that, coaches wise.
Right. And we were a championship team. We were a championship team. And the other thing is he sent what, 4 guys to Ivy League schools. 4 people went to Ivy League school off a football team.
Wow.
2 to Yale and 2 to Brown. And because 2 of my friends, Mark Jackson and Ron, they went to Brown.
Wow.
And they were all city athletes and inner city athletes and everything. Because Phil Manley and Phil Manley and Bill Kirk. Phil Manley and Bill Kirk. They both all went to Ivy League schools. That's unheard of, athletic wise, and to be on a championship team. So, yeah, blessed place, man. Well, I'm gonna get going since I know you got stuff, and I appreciate everything. And I'm gonna stay in contact with you if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to say thank you for coming on. Thank you guys for watching and listening to this episode of Tell Me Your Story. You heard it from Bert. He told you half of it. Well, you got a good taste of his life, of what he's done, but he's got plenty more to tell you. And
a whole lot more.
Totally a lot more. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, get in contact with you, how do they do that, Bert?
Well, one way to reach out to us, hold on, one way to reach out to us is Gentle Way Institute. And the number is 330-333-0061. That's our Akron number, and our DC number is 202-709-9961. That's the phone numbers. Or you can just email me at bert.griggs@gentlewayinstitute.com. And let's see, can you see it? Here we go. Wait a minute. I got it on the camera right there.
There you go.
Yeah, that's, we're new. Yeah, we're new and we're trying to, there you go. We're new and we're trying to get it going here. And we're willing to help anybody we can help out, we're willing to do it. And, we're doing classes right now with Parks and Rec. We're doing classes with them. We did the DAS program and things like that. And we're open to do a whole bunch of different stuff. Got to bring some peace back because nobody talks about peace no more.
That's what we need.
Because when I was young, there was songs about peace and love. And ain't none of that going on now.
All you need is love.
Well, yeah, all you need is love. Yep. Yep. And what the world needs now, love, sweet love.
Love, love. Love is all you need.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah. That's the Beatles.
Yeah. And then I was telling somebody earlier, just talking about this too. Louis Armstrong.
Yep.
It's a wonderful world.
Wonderful world.
Just go out.
You don't have nobody singing that kind of stuff now.
Put some headphones on, play that song.
Mm-hmm.
Change your whole mood, man. It'll make you feel good.
Definitely.
But
no doubt.
I'm signing off here. Thank everybody for watching. Thank you for listening.